This is my recording for episode 4 of Yakusoku no Neverland. I watched the dub and sub of the episode, so spoiler warning. If you haven't watched that, then please skip this. What I really love about that episode is Gilda's resolve to be faithful to Norman, Emma, and Ray after the trio revealed to Dawn and Gilda that Mama Isabella and Sister Crone, they're in cahoots with the bad people. Emma, of course, and Norman, they decided to tell Gilda and Dawn half of the truth and made up this whole other story that the orphans were sold off to bad people, to which Ray was not happy about because that dialogue with the music background, Emma's Sadness, I believe, that was playing in the episode or the anime just brought me to emotional levels that made me think that this impact of this anime while I was reading the manga is very powerful. Ray was asking Norman, when are you gonna tell Dawn and Gilda the whole truth? And Norman, of course, was saying that we will cross that bridge when we get there. Gilda, at that time, was asked by Sister Crone if she can have a talk with her about the issue, quote unquote. But of course, Gilda, we know that her loyalty lies to Emma, Ray, and Norman. That's why she just shoved Sister Crone off, saying to her that there's no problem. Emma and her just had a fight and they resolved it quickly. But I think what Sister Crone's intentions, having read the manga, is that she is planting the seeds of doubts to Gilda, to which Gilda like she's losing a little bit of her faith against Emma. In the manga, I believe it's Gilda who was hugged by Emma, but in the anime, it's Gilda who cried and hugged Emma. So those are some subtle differences that I noticed that the anime changed when approaching this storyline. In the manga, it's Gilda who was a bit tearful, but then she didn't actually totally cry, unlike in the anime. So it really shows. The manga went into more detail on that scene with Gilda, Sister Crone, and Gilda and Dawn being confronted by the trio. The manga went into much more detail, but having the episode, which is only 22 minutes, is sufficient enough that they covered the basics of the storyline, and I'm satisfied with that. Another highlight of this episode is when Norman was confronting Ray about who the traitor was. So before Norman confronted Ray, he asked Emma about her opinions, whether they should take that traitor with them to escape, to which Emma replied, yes, we will, because we grew up together and there's not a single person I would leave behind because we're family. I believe in that person. Norman, of course, was shocked to hear Emma's response, but knowing her so well, I guess he would have expected that from Emma. That's a wonderful character arc on Norman's side because, as you know, Norman needed to balance his judgment with Emma's, because without Emma's guidance, we know that Norman might not be able to understand his emotions very well, because Norman is very reliable regarding Norman is always thinking about the optimal solution or the most logical solution. That's why he doesn't trust his emotions that much. I guess that's why he has to consult Emma, and without Emma's guidance, I guess Norman would not be choosing to bring the traitor in the escape plan. So big reveal or shock cliffhanger at the end. Norman confronted Ray, you are the traitor. And that's I know if I am going blind on this episode, I would not have expected that, but I've been watching The Promised Neverland for the second time now, and I've been rereading the manga for the third time. That's why I know the story so well. That's why if I am watching this blind, I would be shocked as well as to how did that even happen, because Norman in the beginning, in the manga, he said that he will tell Dawn that it's under his bed, the rope, while he's gonna tell Gilda that the rope is on the ceiling on the second floor bathroom. And when Norman and Ray retrieved the ropes, they found that the rope is in the location where Gilda in the location where they told Gilda, in the second floor, in the ceiling of the second floor bathroom. But when they retrieved the rope under Norman's bed, it's not there, it's missing. But then, of course, as we know, the cliffhanger ends with Norman confronting Ray, so you're the traitor or you're the spy. That's really a shocking revelation, because I realized that Shirai, the mangaka, really loved deceiving his readers. So that's why he's doing this to us, even on the first arc. I really love his storytelling. And if I had the opportunity, I really wanted to take down the road that he went through, Shirai, because he used to work in a corporate job, and then he went into the creative side or his occupation because he wanted to leave physical traces in the world, so that, I don't know, maybe he can be remembered, or he wants to leave his legacy. I read somewhere that he has had poor health, and maybe around 2018 or 2017, instead of I think the chapter 135 being published around, I guess, 2019, the one that was published was Oyaku Soku no Neverland, which is the parodied manga. So instead of that chapter 135 being published, it's the special edition or special chapter of Oyaku Soku no Neverland, the parodied Jokeland of the Promised Neverland. He has had poor health, Shirai, I guess, when doing this, because it's a weekly shonen series, and I understand why he needed to push himself to finish the series, and I guess that's the reason why he's pushing himself now in this final arc. I know in chapter 169 that was released March 1st, 2020, it's already almost at its peak, but I wouldn't say that it's gonna end that soon. Maybe in a year or in a year and a half that it will come to its finale. But as for this now, I really love the Promised Neverland work, and I really adored his stylizations and storylines. I really don't know how I can thank him. I thought he has a Twitter account, but he doesn't have a Twitter account. Only Pascal Demisu has. The combination of the team that they put up into with the editor, artist, and storyteller, Shirai, it's amazing. And I wish I was in their position. I wish I became a storyteller. I wish I became a mangaka, or I wish I became an artist. Something on the creative side, and not on something that will restrict me to a job that I don't like. So I guess that's kind of like my opinion or reflection on episode 4 of the anime. Sorry if I have to add some of my thoughts in here, but I guess that just came from what I'm absorbing in the manga material or in the anime, and what these artists and talented creators have put out in the world of animation or storytelling or manga industry to provide their works to readers or to viewers. Well, thank you very much for listening. That's my opinion on episode 4 of the anime. Also, I want to say something about Dawn and Gilda. I really love how Dawn was able to laugh it off in the beginning when Emma was confronting them, because that would be the natural reaction, right? Dawn laughing it off, believing that it was only just a prank, and then it became serious. The gloom and the tone of the library where they're discussing became a little bit darker and gloomier when they realized the half of the truth, that that the orphans were being sold off to bad people. And I really love how the direction or the camera lighting was directed on this episode, because of the reactions from Dawn, the voice acting, the camera angles, the lighting. It's just so it feels satisfying, even though inner monologue is sometimes removed here. It's compensated by the fact that these camera angles, these CGI 3D hallways, where the perspective of the viewer shifts from, it's as if you're part of the house and you can only hear the footsteps. When Emma was trying to walk to the library where Dawn and Gilda were waiting, there's this CGI scene. It's as if the trio, you can hear their footsteps, but at the same time, it's only the perspective of the viewer where the hallway is being turned and rotated into as one goes into that house. It's as if it's a real thing. And I really love these scary aspects and gloomy aspects that Pascal Misu created with Kayo Shirai on creating the orphanage alone, because that orphanage, knowing the truth behind that orphanage, really feels as if it's a haunted house where dark truths are revealed slowly and the mysteries are uncovered slowly. And that's the reason why I love Dawn and Gilda so much, is because even though Emma confronted them about about half of the truth, or about partially the truth of the house, they still believe in her fully, even though the trio didn't put their whole faith in them. So that's the character development for you for Dawn and Gilda. I love this series so much. I really love discussing about it, putting these characters up front, and really going inside of their head just impresses me. Thank you, and I guess that finishes my review. Thank you very much, and have a great day.